This is what happened in Ambazonia and around the world, today Monday, June 15, 2020. Akong Gilbert, a welder in Bamenda, Northwest region has been arrested and detained by the military. He is suspected of producing weapons for separatist fighters. His family and sympathizers have termed his arrest as arbitrary, and expressed fears that he is being tortured. President Paul Biya has this June 15 appointed Chief of Battalion Monbani Patrick and Captain Fisu Gilbert as Chief of Medicine and Assistant Chief of Medicine of the Presidential Infirmary. 1. Freelance journalist, Njoka Kingsley has spent a 30th day in detention. He was arrested on May 15 and held incommunicado until government succumbed to pressure to make his whereabouts public. Njoka is now at the Kandengui prison where he is awaiting trial on terrorism-related charges. 2. Akong Gilbert, a welder in Bamenda, Northwest region has been arrested and detained by the military. He is suspected of producing weapons for separatist fighters. His family and sympathizers have termed his arrest as arbitrary, and expressed fears that he is being tortured. 3. The Douala International Airport goes operational tomorrow. Ahead of the reopening, the SDO for Wuri Benjamin Buto led an evaluating team on a working visit at the airport today morning. 4. 6 supposed pirates have been killed at Idabato in Bakassi by members of Cameroon's Rapid Intervention Battalion, BIR. The unit also retrieved weapons, money in naira and FFA, fuel and drugs from the vessel they attacked. 5. Uneasy calm reigns around Commercial Avenue and other quarters in Bamenda in the northwest region of Cameroon after an all-night shooting between separatist fighters and the military. Inhabitants say it a usual happening. Meantime, Ghost Town was equally observed today in the town as has been since 2016. 6. The population of Ngambe in Donga Mantung Division, Northwest region is standing against Gendarmerie Brigade Commander Danzabi Henry for threatening legal local fuel sellers. Following the intervention of the SDO for Donga Mantung Division last week for the release of the petrol sellers, there are fears that he might take revenge. The commander concerned has denied claims of carrying out the arrests in bad faith. To him, the security of the population is top priority. 7. The court hearing of the vice president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, Mamadou Mota, and other detainees of the CRM party has been adjourned to Thursday, June 18, 2020. Lawyers defending the detainees say they have been working to ensure a fair trial for their clients. 8. A commercial motorcycle rider dies in an accident around Pozam at the east entrance to the city of Douala. The boy was hit by a speedy truck while in an attempt to overtake. 9. A total of 10,140 coronavirus cases registered in Cameroon as of today, June 15. Public health officials in Cameroon say there are two types of test procedures: the voluntary and tracking tests. Track test entails inviting suspected individuals for test, while involuntary, people get to the center to carry out tests and know their status. 10. The respect of coronavirus preventive measures in Cameroon is constantly violated by most Cameroonians. In Douala, for example, overloading in taxis and motorcycles is a practice under the watchful eyes of security officers. Many city dwellers also believe the wearing of face masks in public places is no longer obligatory. 11. Major Monbani Patrick is new Chief Medical Officer of the Unity Palace Infirmary. He was one of several others appointed today by President Paul Biya, who named Captain Fisu Gilbert Assistant Chief Medical Officer. He appointed Mr. Minko Abel as Secretary of the Higher Judicial Council and also named substantive and alternate members of the Higher Judicial Council. 12.2 soldiers have been arrested in Yaoundé for trafficking in pangolin scales. They were caught with 450 kilograms of pangolin scales and later revealed the whereabouts of their accomplice, who was immediately arrested too. 13. Some 20 young entrepreneurs will benefit from government funding in the weeks ahead. They will be selected from several others in an ongoing operation by the Agency for the Promotion of Small and Medium Enterprises. The selection process kicked off today. 14. Icona in the southwest region has gone without electricity for a month now. It was plunged into darkness after the destruction of a transformer by separatist fighters who randomly fired shots in the air. Since then, locals say authorities have made no effort to replace the transformer. 15.3 young men have been killed in Ouaka, southwest region of Cameroon by soldiers. The attack on suspected separatist fighters saw one captured. Sources say another managed to escape. 16. A dispute between the Apostolic Administrator of Bia, Michael Bibi, and now former president of the Catholic University Institute of Bia, Father George Nkeze has taken a different turn. Calling for the reinstatement of Father Nkeze as CUIB president, his lawyer says the newly appointed administrator has caused irreparable damage and mistrust among students, faculty members, and the laity and other well-wishers of the Christian community. 17. Teachers of the St. Benedict Catholic Bilingual College in Yaoundé say their principal has called for an early end to classes so as to avoid paying them. The principal, the teachers say, had failed to pay them salaries in March as instructed by government. They believe his recent decision to end classes is so that he doesn't have to spend a dime of state subvention for private schools on them. 18. Human Rights Watch says the government of Cameroon preaches virtue and practices vice in its fight against COVID-19. Human Rights Watch's senior researcher for Central Africa Ilaria Olegrazi regrets that the government of Cameroon is calling for a united front and at the same time blocking anti-COVID-19 initiative of opposition party leaders and figures. 19. With efforts for a lasting solution to the Anglophone crisis on an impasse, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam MD has reignited the call for the adoption of a confederal system of government as a way forward. The Anglophone elite says Cameroon must make use of a concept that has matured over time and forge ahead in their diversity. He says confederation, which is the merging of two independent and equal entities, is what Cameroon needs and not federalism, which is the breaking down of an entity. 20. A house belonging to a certain Noel Ndanjim has been razed to ashes in Baba 2 village, Mazam division of the Northwest region. Reports say the act was carried out by soldiers in the area. The past days have seen an increase in clashes between government troops and separatist fighters in the Anglophone regions of the country. 21. A young man is said to have committed suicide in Mutengine, Fako division of the Southwest region of Cameroon. According to local sources, he decided to take away his life after misunderstanding with his girlfriend, though the information is yet to be confirmed by family members. 22. The people of Benin in the littoral region of Cameroon say they are against a plan of the government to take over their land. Meeting on Douala today, they said they were forced out of their villages during the fight for the independence of Cameroon, and must not be made everlasting IDPs in their own country. 23. Prime Minister, Head of Government Dr. Joseph Dion Ngud has been voted as the 2019 Man of the Year by readers of the Guardian Post newspaper. The Prime Minister was unveiled as the 2019 Man of the Year on Friday, June 12 during the 2019 Guardian Post Achievement Awards held in Yaoundé. According to reports, the jury revealed, PM Dion Ngud received 73.88% of the votes cast by readers of the paper ahead of His Eminence Christian Cardinal Toumi, who had 26.12% of the votes. 24. The police in Mozambique say they have arrested 6 religious leaders who tried to get around the coronavirus restrictions by holding services for their followers up in the mountains. Officials in Milange district close to the border with Malawi say they switched from holding their services in their normal premises to try to avoid getting caught for breaking the ban on large gatherings. Mozambique has recorded less than 600 cases of coronavirus and 3 deaths. 25. Turkey says it will continue working with Russia to try to halt the fighting in Libya, despite the last-minute postponement of high-level talks on Sunday. The two countries support opposite sides in the conflict. There have been media reports that the meeting between the Russian and Turkish foreign ministers was put off because of differences over the fate of the Libyan city of Sirte. It's held by Russia's ally, renegade Gen Khalifa Haftar. But government forces, backed by Turkey, are trying to capture the area. 26. In Kenya, more claims have emerged of the police using heavy-handed techniques to enforce the country's coronavirus curfew. The BBC's investigation series, Africa Eye, has found evidence that a resident of the Nairobi slum of Mathare died after being beaten by the police during the curfew. And a motorbike taxi rider said he had lost an eye when a policeman hit him with a baton as he was making his way home shortly before the start of the curfew. The allegations were put to the Kenyan police, but they refused to comment. 27. The courts in Malawi have issued 2 separate orders stopping the government from sending the country's Chief Justice Andrew Nyirenda on leave pending retirement. By law, judges in Malawi have to retire when they reach 65, but Mr. Nyirenda will only turn 65 at the end of next year. The government said that seeing as he had accumulated so many leave days, more than he had time left to serve, he should step down now. But the courts have tried to put a stop to this. Malawi's courts and the presidency have been on a collision course since judges nullified President Peter Mutharika's re-election last year and ordered fresh presidential elections, which will now be held on June 23. 28. The leader of a Sudanese militia which fought a war in the western Darfur region 20 years ago has denied committing war crimes. Ali Kashabe was speaking at his first appearance at the International Criminal Court. He was a leader of the Janjaweed, a notorious pro-government militia which carried out atrocities against the civilian population. A warrant for his arrest was issued 13 years ago listing 50 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity, including murder, rape, and torture. He surrendered last week in the Central African Republic, where he'd been in hiding since February when Sudan announced that it would hand over suspects wanted by the ICC. 29. The Nigerian president has ordered an investigation after security guards reportedly shot into the air at his presidential palace. The incident happened at Aso Rock following an altercation between one of the president's aides and his wife's bodyguards. They had been arguing about the need for a presidential aide to self-isolate after returning from a trip. Some of the First Lady's staff have been arrested. No casualties were reported. The incident happened last week but came to light at the weekend when both President Muhammadu Buhari and his wife Aisha spoke about it publicly. Njoka Kingsley clocks 30 days in detention. After meeting him at said, the journalist's lawyers Akuwich Joseph, Peckham Emmanuel, and Amungwe Tanyi said he is frail and pale, for he drinks mostly water because he is traumatized psychologically to have been kept for 24 days incommunicado till this morning when we met him. Judging by the manner in which Njoka was arrested, held incommunicado for weeks and maltreated, there are fears his case may be that of another Wazizi in the making. 2 soldiers nabbed among pangolin scales traffickers in Yaoundé. 450 kilograms of pangolin scales have been seized in Yaoundé. This was in an operation carried out by security forces in the Aja district. According to El Imasager newspaper, they were found with 2 soldiers who stated that the package belonged to a lady residing in Akanu. She was immediately arrested too.